Welcome to the Strategy in Motion Strategic Bootcamp. We're so excited you're here. We're excited to get going with the training. And today is a welcome. We're going to go through the program, help you understand it, share some experiences, and get you off to a great start. So let me review what strategy is. And I love the quote from A.G. Lafley. He was the CEO of Procter & Gamble, for your folks that are in Cincinnati. Wrote a book called Playing to Win, which is really about strategic choices, which we're going to go into quite a bit. But he believes that running a company without a plan is reckless. And his point is that really it's the job of leadership to set vision and to really make sure that we're clear and we have alignment. And he believes if you don't do that, it's kind of similar to driving a car without a license. It's running a company without really the training and the understanding. So in this program, we're going to help you understand how to get that license, how to get that training that you need to develop that strategic plan. So I've been doing this for over 20 years. I love it. I feel blessed to be able to work with the entrepreneurs and the owners that I work with, mainly growth oriented firms. I have a mechanical engineering degree from Georgia Tech, a Harvard MBA, and I've spent 20 years focused on growth oriented mid-sized companies, blessing, and about 300 of them, taking them through strategic planning. And I work with quite a few on an ongoing basis throughout the years, and then they graduate and figure it out. So I really understand how to not only get the strategy in place, but how to implement the strategy, which is a key issue. The process is a iterative. So I want to really describe this because it's pretty important. Strategy in motion. I actually developed that on the porch with my neighbor. And when I was describing how I think about strategy with my clients, I told her that really what happens is the first time we get a plan, we get it in place, we learn, and then we do it again. We do it again. It's kind of like the plan, do, check, act process. So what I want to really help you understand is that strategy is a process and it gets better every time you do it. So, you learn to ride a bike. The first time's a little bumpy, but the second, third, and fourth time you're doing races and you're loving it. So the process really starts with this listen and learn, and we prepare our mind to plan. And then we jump into the plan development and we get the plan, we agree on the goals, the reality, the choices, and we implement, we push through an implementation. And that's when we assess and we update and we really get better information on our assumptions up here. And then we manage that process and we improve it. We improve it every time we do it. There's monthly, quarterly, annual, and a constant investment in training. So there's a couple of articles we're going to have you read, which we think are great introductions. The Playbook for Becoming a True Strategic Leader is an article that Sydney and I wrote. My partner will talk about. And we really kind of combine people and strategy. It's the recipe for success. So you need self-aware leaders and you need winning strategies. The second one is My Printer Broke, which is a true story. As we all know, change isn't easy, and it wasn't easy for me just recently. I knew I had printer issues. I let it go, preparing for a big meeting. And of course, it broke right in the middle of making copies for my big meeting, which meant I had to run to Staples, spend a lot more money, and it cost me a lot more money. So I share that story in hopes that strategic planning is before things break, that we're proactively planning and we're being opportunistic. So that is a good view of some of the articles, the prep work. We're going to talk about it as a process. I'm going to have you do an audit as you work through the program to understand where you are. And then we'll go through each of the modules in the self-paced video version. There'll be other YouTube videos we'll share, tools, and articles. What we want you to get out of this. I mean, really, at the end of the day, you should feel when you complete this program that you have a good grasp of strategy, what it is, what it's not. You understand some of the key tools. We're going to focus on about 10 of those and some of the key concepts. You've applied them. We're going to ask you to practice. We're going to ask you to do them. And then I'm going to share some stories from other organizations that I think will help you as you continue on your journey. The outcomes will be a mini case study because you are going to complete 10 of the key tools. I'm going to ask you to customize a big piece. Anytime you work through a process, you've got to make it work for you. And that's true here. And I promise you, you'll have a lot more tools in your toolbox when you're done with this. So here are the 10 critical tools we're going to focus in on. The strategic assessment or audit will be first. How does your company or team think about strategy? We're going to look at a charter for the folks that go through the strategy. Pretty important part to spend time up front on who is on your team. And then these are the listen and learn tools, the strategic survey, asking people their opinion, getting feedback, looking at the external environment, competitors. We'll talk a lot about the SWOT. Some of you may have heard that term before. Some of you may not have. We'll go really into that: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Then we'll move straight into the plan. We'll put a plan together, get a priority plan for you. And then you need scorecards. Scorecards are how we measure progress. I mean, think about that in sports. You don't play a game without a scorecard. So we need a scorecard. And we're going to work through how to do that, both from a strategy standpoint and the run the business standpoint. And all of these take commitment and a rhythm of meeting. Teams are critical to this process, and meeting in teams really make this process work. I love these two cartoons. I always start with them. Here's Dilbert talking to his friend who's thinking about getting into the strategic planning game. And the friend says, if he understands the job description, you basically hallucinate about the future and then something different happens. And Dilbert says, you also have to pretend it's useful. And the friend says, really? That sounds hard. And that's true. When I could tell you about one of my clients, when we went through, they were in a true pain standpoint. Their big market that they had served forever was going away. We knew it was. And so what we had to do is decide when that market was going to go away and then what other market we wanted to get into. So there's a lot of assumptions. There's a lot of analysis on the external environment, and it was hard. Some of it was hallucinations, but as we worked the plan over time, we got better at those assumptions. The second one is a classic one. I hear this all the time. Company tells me they have a strategic plan. Great. Oh, I ask them what it is. And sometimes they don't ever tell me it's a secret, but I ask them what it is. Dilbert's asking. And Dilbert says, do you trust me? And the boss, of course, says, which is, I do hear this too, that sometimes people don't share their plans because they're afraid their employees might share it with the competition. Well, those weren't really great employees in hindsight. But, at the end of the day, we can't, if we don't know the plan, we can't execute against it. So the boss shows them, and really it's the warranty to the chair. And the bosses, I've been managing them to that for years. So this is a good one to really just stop and settle in for a second. People get nervous about the plan. The plan is not the competitive advantage. At any book or any concept or any thought leader won't tell you the plan is the competitive advantage. The competitive advantage is execution, is your people, your ability to do things better than your competition. It isn't the plan, it's the execution. So we want people to know about it. Southwest Airlines told everybody what they were going to do to the airline industry. They told everyone. Not everyone followed them, not everyone believed them, and Herb Keller really changed the game. So let me just talk a little bit about Stretch. It's me and my partner, Cindy, who focuses on the people. And then we have a great team of folks that support us. We approach strategy from a culture and people first, and then a why and what with the strategy. So we talk about going slow to going fast. That's the listen and learn. We're going to spend some time in that place. And then we always compare it, strategy, to playing soccer. Great soccer players look up, they're looking out, they're assessing what's going on around them. If we're constantly looking down, we're not recognizing what's right in front of us. So what we want to think about as strategy is about looking up and being prepared for how to win. This is an example. I use this as our example. When I work with clients, these are the things that we really focus in on a good process. What's your purpose? What are your values? How do you want your team to behave? What are your differentiators, and what is your vision? Those are 4 strategic concepts that we work through on what is strategy. In our process, strategy falls in here. And when I work with Cindy, we take a company through Stretch, We're going to focus on the leadership piece, the strategy piece, and the teams piece. Some of you might be in that program, and some of you might just be working through this on the strategy piece. My only point is to recognize strategy alone isn't the competitive advantage. You really need the execution, which comes from your leadership being healthy and self-aware, and your teams being empowered and enabled. So what holds back a good process? And that I'll leave you with this in the welcome session. It's a dysfunctional team member. And so when we get through this and we talk about initially the strategic team, sometimes you're going to need an external facilitator to manage this dynamic. Sometimes you can do it internally. I think that's great. What I want you to recognize is look at this, one baby can cause a scream fest. So recognize what your team dynamics are and who is going to be part of that process, and ask yourself if you need to have someone else available to help you. All right, we'll stop there for the welcome, and then we'll get into the process for the next video. Read those articles next. Thank you.